Warning, the following podcast you're about to listen to may contain adult language. Viewer discretion is advised.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope boys and girls aren't listening to this. This is Entertainment Banter. My name is Joel.
And I'm Matt.
And we bring you something new. Matt?
Yeah.
I feel
what
like
are we talking about today?
I feel like we need to sail across the ocean.
Okay.
The Pacific in as a child would say, the Pacific Ocean, and we should get all the way to the land of the rising sun.
Okay.
You know what's great about the land of the rising sun?
What's that?
I'm confused of why they're the land of the rising sun. Why can't we call another time and space confuse me? And some reason, I guess, first light of the day hits Japan.
Oh,
is that what the point is?
That's why we're the West. Yes.
Well, I know. I get
Rises
that,
in the East, sets in the West.
Yeah, but
that's our American philosophy.
But we always can say Maine is the land of the rising sun. Maine, you get light before we do.
From New England, yeah, for sure. Sure. What are we talking about today specifically?
Well, I love Japan. I love Japanese culture, and I know you do too. It's seen everywhere around us. One of the greatest shows ever created, in my personal opinion, Dragon Ball and all its likeness was created in Japan. But today is not about Dragon Ball. Today's on a new anime that I got to
it's been around for a while now.
I don't know, 5 years,
it's
6 years.
It's one of the more. Well, I guess that's new for anime, right?
Sure. I remember back in the day when new anime came out, you wouldn't even know about it for years and years, and because
right,
we didn't have it. Now it's like as soon as it comes out in Japan, we have it here. My Hero Academia is the show we are talking about, and my buddy got me into it, and I got Matt into it, and we were thinking that I thought I would never get into another anime. I'm not into many animes. We can probably list them in one hand. I'm into, Dragon Ball Z and Berserk and Trigun and a little bit of Gundam, but not much more than that. Beyond that, there's a few here and there like Full Metal Alchemist. I'm sure Matt's the same way, right?
Yeah, I mean, mine are a little bit different, but yeah.
Yeah, you listen to the ones that don't end, like One Piece and Bleach and probably Inuyasha, you garbage can.
Well, no, I've seen those. No, the ones that I will say, I haven't finished it, obviously, and probably never will. Thanks for spoiling that. I do watch One Piece right now. It's entertaining enough. But in the past, Dragon Ball Z has definitely been up there. I like Lupin. I actually like watching Lupin.
Lupin the Third, you mean?
Yeah, Lupin the Third.
You may actually like Conan Case something Detective, Conan the Cook Detective.
Okay,
that's a fun little.
I mean, and then of course there's others like I guess you would call them Americanized versions like Voltron and Robotech.
Sure.
Watch those all the time.
I feel like that was a mix, a collaboration. They did something, and America's like, let's change it for America. So
it's funny. Neither one of us mentioned Gundam.
Macross. I did say Gundam.
You did?
Yeah. But Macross became Voltron out here, right? No, Macross became...
Macross was...
Robotech.
Robotech.
Right. Anyways, My Hero Academia is a show that is hitting on pop culture today, as in, I had a buddy tell me at work, probably about 4 or 5 years ago, that says, Joel, there is nothing on TV or what I watch in movies right now in theaters that isn't superhero based. And I'm like, holy crap, we are in the superhero age of our media. And My Hero Academia, Japanese anime, hits on that pop culture pretty good too, in my opinion.
Big time.
Yes.
And ironically, though, out of all the animes that are out there, I think other than Tiger and Bunny, besides that one, that focuses on superheroes, but that only lasts like 27 episodes or something like that. This is the only one out of all the anime that I know of that revolves around superheroes, and it's legitimate superheroes.
It made it to the 5th season. I have not seen the 5th season. I'm not sure if Matt's made it to the 4th season yet.
Not 4th, I don't think.
But we can talk about the premise without spoiling anything and all that. One of the main reasons why I got into it, I was going through a hard breakup. There's already 2 seasons out, I believe, and my buddy who got me into Dragon Ball Z back in, pre-elementary school days. Yes, I watched it back in the early 90s when it was on Channel 13. We've mentioned that many times. Stop yawning. It's an interesting story.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was so... And I'm listening. Go ahead.
But he goes, Joel, you should watch My Hero Academia. What I like to do, he told me when I go through hard breakups, it's great to watch a show. I'm like, well, yeah, I'm watching Dragon Ball Z again for probably the umpteenth time. And he goes, no, there's a new show. Check it out. And I'm like, no. I don't want to watch any new animes. I don't want to get into anything more. The last one was, I think, Full Metal Alchemist. I don't want to do any more new animes. It's sometimes you don't, because some animes just drag on.
Right,
Bleach,
and like you said,
Inuyasha,
sometimes they
One
don't finish.
Piece, they don't finish. And it's garbage. Sometimes the artists get bored of it before it finishes, and then the anime has to figure a way to finish it, and it never ends well. So My Hero Academia, I started watching it, and to be honest, every episode you get the chills almost.
Yes.
It's really cool how they do that. Like there's not.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's filler episodes now, but now I'm involved. Now I'm pot committed. I have to know.
Yeah.
Because every season ends with such an amazing moment. But Matt, break down what is the premise of My Hero Academia? Why is it superheroes? What's going on?
Well, when I first saw it, well, obviously you're right. The anime market was jumping on the superhero bandwagon.
Absolutely.
The irony is right that right now in America there's been a shift where people used to buy American comic books and all this stuff. Now a lot of people are buying manga, however you want to say it, and they're also they're outselling. Manga's outselling American comics by a lot. And so when this show hit, I thought it was ironic that it was actually taking stuff from American pop culture, superheroes, and applying it to anime. This show, to answer your question, in my opinion, is like the Harry Potter of the superhero world. I'm sorry, that's what it is. You know, they go to school specifically to learn how to be superheroes, right?
But they didn't get. Oh God, you're ruining it for me because I don't like Harry Potter. You're ruining this for me.
I know, but I'm just telling you that's the premise. So if anybody doesn't know, it's a school dedicated to superhero training and learning.
But you don't get in like that white out.
Well, you can say why they're heroes. You know, it's not like they just decide to sew a costume and become one, right? Why don't you go into that a little bit?
Well, we're now in the world like they always start up the episode where. I guess genetics, like almost like they take a page from the X-Men franchise and say that genetics has moved forward, and they're not mutants. They don't call them that, but they call people's unique abilities quirks. And not everyone gets a quirk. They give you a percentage of how much of the population got quirks. Some are useless quirks where they can just make water boil, or they can like make their hands turn into flashlights. Who knows? Some useless thing that they use around the house probably.
Right.
But it's a quirk. But they don't really later in the episodes they try to explain like how the quirks work inside their bodies. But then you get certain quirks like I have the power to create fire in my hand, or I can do ice, or I have the super strength ability, or I can fly. So then these people get these abilities. Now, the government wanted to get in ahead of this, so they created licensing for heroes. And
kind of like Air Jordan products.
Yeah, but more or less like if you wanted to grow up to be a hero, you got licensed by the government where they can track you. They know what your powers are. Almost like the X-Men Registration Act, but they actually got people to sign on
registration,
it.
Yeah.
So then you have these ones who wants to be heroes, and they get trained to be heroes. They get trained in how you deal with the police, the government, and how you all work together. But the way heroes get work and money and all that, they also bring in the social media platform. To become number one, you need to be like the most popular, not only really good, but also very popular with the audiences, because then people want to hire you to be a hero. Not saying that no hero is not paid well. They all, for the most part,
it's more complicated than that, because you're right. They're actually, to explain it better, they have sponsors.
Yeah.
So because it's not like I'm not going to save your child from the burning building if you don't pay me. That's not how it works. What happens is they are sponsored by rich people, kind of like sports teams are.
Sure.
And then, so if a hero does a good deed, it makes that sports team look good. It's just like if Michael Jordan playing for Chicago Bulls, right?
Sure.
There's the owner of the Chicago Bulls. Jordan's just the player. But every time Jordan does a great spectacular shot, it makes the Chicago Bulls franchise look better.
And then if you see a hero save someone wearing some type of shoes, like, oh, I can be that hero if I wear those shoes, kind of thing, and it makes
right. So they're branding the franchise of being a hero as well.
Which it almost feels like they cheapen the idea of being a hero, and you get worried like in this universe maybe people are going to take advantage of that, and they're not really heroes; they just want the limelight. And
that's the subject of
They do touch on that, but
that's a villain subject matter.
But then you also got to think about, so now we have the villains that have quirks, but they don't want to be registered. They don't want they're like the X-Men.
Well,
But
they also think that people that do this stuff are sellouts.
they
right?
are
And they're-
sellouts, yeah,
yeah.
absolutely, and they touch on that a lot. And so it creates this interesting dynamic. But the number one superhero we follow is, oh my God, All Might. And All Might is an awesome character. This will be a spoiler alert if you guys haven't seen the show, but Matt already knows. All Might is a character that usually the person who is All Might's quirk is not born with a quirk, and they actually get the accumulation and experiences from other people who had that same quirk to come as one, and it becomes this ultimate powerful quirk. It's super strength, and it's mainly just super strength, right? That's all it really
Yeah,
is.
and it's passed down through previous people.
To generation, but you get the experiences from those generations, and that's why it's called the All Might. Was it like one for all? It's one for
Right,
all,
one
right?
for all.
But
right.
then, of course, the universe wants to balance itself out. So the evil, most biggest villain is all for one, and he does the same thing that All Might does, but takes everybody's quirks into one
Right.
being. So
Right.
it's very interesting. So All Might gives his power to this quirkless child who you watch, and he wanted to be a superhero his whole life, and his parents have quirks, but he just never got a quirk. But then all of a sudden,
but it's what I like about the story. I'm just going to drop you briefly.
Sure.
What's great about that child, though, is it teaches you if you work hard and study hard, you can become something that you've always wanted to be, even though you may have been disadvantaged,
right?
In that situation. This character just lived, eat, breathed whatever he wanted to be, and as a result, he became it because of his determination, which I think is a great story in the process.
It's like a redemption story almost, and All Might sees that in him and gives him the quirk, and it's just amazing because before that he was studying everything about heroes. So then when he became into this college and school and learning, or high school, he was able to bring that knowledge with him, plus the powers. I mean, the powers were a lot stronger, so we got to see all that where he's dealing with his body, because his body's never had a quirk before. So we get to witness all that too. But it's very interesting to watch that grow into what it is. I was going to say, you should mention too that the number one hero, All Might, doesn't care for sponsorships or anything like that. He doesn't. He wants to just be a hero, and he's very humble, and no one really knew who he was at first, right? He was his secret identity. He's one of the only ones.
Yeah. Well, I was going to touch up on this because you mentioned earlier in the pod that you're like, why is it so good, right? You couldn't figure it out, right?
Right.
And to me, it's the most basic concept, and that is goodness, right? I mean, at the world that we currently live in and everything that's on television today, it's kind of trash, to be honest with you, from reality TV to whatever. I mean, some of it's good, but the majority of it's trash, right? And so when you watch something like this, you're reminded that there's goodness in the world, and like it's to me, it's an underlining tone that you just take for granted when you're watching a superhero movie. Like, oh, superheroes, of course they're good, blah, blah, blah. But it goes deeper than that because, like I said earlier, the child that takes on the powers that All Might gives him worked for it. He was brought up with nothing,
right? And
he worked for it before he was even given any opportunities. And then you have All Might, like you said, and All Might. If you look at it, I'm like not to compare him to like Jesus or something, but the reality is he is this all-powerful being that sacrifices himself. I mean, by the end of season 3, I think is when. 2, his identity is revealed. And the people see him for what he is for the real time. So people that don't know, Bruce Wayne is Batman. Bruce Wayne, playboy, young guy, have no idea why.
Womanizer.
Rich, yeah, rich. Why would he dress in a bat suit and go fight crime? He doesn't need to. He's rich. Well, All Might, he's like big and bulky and strong, but like when his quirk runs out or when his power runs out, he transforms into this very decrepit, skinny character. And so when people see that, they realize, oh my gosh, like this hero that we've been admiring and worshiping is like me or worse, on an average regular day basis. So in that sense, it's like, you said he was humble. It's just interesting to see him transform from something such big and grand to be the weakest point of his life. Like he's willing to sacrifice it all to where he has nothing left. And so that's a redeeming quality. And then the final thing is you're watching teamwork. You're watching students coming together, being friends, encouraging each other, helping each other grow. You're living as you watch them go through school, just like Harry Potter. You see them develop. I know, but you see them develop over time. And then to the point where they went from fearing something to embracing something to controlling something to excelling at something. And it's just really kind of cool to see. You get to see their backstories. That each episode focuses on a different character's backstory, which involves 9 out of 10 family. The theme of family,
Right.
of tradition and relationships between parents, and so of course you're going to relate to all of that. And so the show to me speaks volumes just based on all of these things. And then the constant, and then the ultimate theme, no matter how bad things are, always put on a smile and always do your best to let people know everything's going to be okay. That's Alt Might's big thing. He always constantly says, I want to be, like always smiling, no matter what's going on, just keep smiling. So,
And it's just grads. I mean, when you hear children in the background, it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I know. Well, can't win them all in the studio.
You do have trolls over there.
Yes, I do.
It is very interesting too with the aspects of all that with family. When I first watched the first episode, Allmart almost seemed like an asshole as you're watching it, and then you see why, and like
arrogant almost.
Yeah, and then you fall his last speech of that first episode draw me in when he was telling what's his name, Deku.
Yes,
I forget the
boy
kid.
that he eventually gives.
I haven't
his
watched
powers
it in
to,
a
yes.
while, and that whole
Midoriya,
speech about
whatever his name
Midoriya.
is.
Yeah, there you go. Another
You're
cool
welcome.
aspect of the show too is not only do we have villains we're dealing with, but we also have rivalry from local superheroes because they all want to be the best. The number two superhero is a very interesting character. His I forget his name, but he's Power of Fire. And I find it interesting that he uses fire to be his beard and his eyebrows. I'm like, dude, man, we get it. You're fire.
Right.
We get it. But he's the number 2 superhero. But he's kind of when you look at him and how he acts, he's like a villain almost, but he's not. So it's kind of weird. I don't want to say anything, but he's like the Vegeta character. You get this feeling like he's evil, but not.
Well, All Might gets all the credit and all the fame, and this guy's playing second fiddle to him.
Right.
But I think ironically is, just like you said, Vegeta, I guess is a good analogy because that character, I feel like he feels like he did everything right by the book. He doesn't, clown around. And I'm not saying All Might clowns around, but he's more lighthearted. And this guy's no, this is a job, it's serious.
Take it seriously.
Take it seriously. Yeah.
Right. He also took it seriously when he had his kid. He made sure that he married he had a child with. Yeah. He had 3 children with a girl that produced ice. And he wanted to produce the ultimate ice and fire offspring.
Which he achieved.
Which he achieved with his 3rd child. And he's a really cool character. His dealings with his father is it's loveless. All this shit is fake, but he just wanted a child. But you get to see that relationship
goes back
grow
to that
too,
family
which is
relationship
really cool.
stuff.
But it's really interesting to watch that, and he's one of the cooler characters, to be honest.
Absolutely, I know he's definitely a fan favorite. I think that's what it boils back down to. So when your own family lets you down, you know what I'm saying? Then you look to your friends, and that's why I think the school classmate situation, supporting each other, growing with each other, that's what makes it so cool to watch. One thing I will say too about the show that it just blows my mind is the style of the animation and the artwork. Especially when it comes to the fight scenes. When you were talking about how you get chills, they time the music just right. Mm-hmm. They time the dialogue just right.
They do.
The dialogue has meaning. It's campy. It is 100% soap opera-ish at times and over the top. But you know what? People just like good fashion glory soapbox where when it's the darkest of darkest days, when people are at their slowest, when someone does that classic speech to rise people up. You know what I mean? And this show seems to do it almost every episode. You know what I mean? And then you get a satisfying ending too. It's not like the bad guys win. I haven't seen the whole show yet, but basically you actually get some satisfaction. Just like anything, when the underdog is at its lowest, they find the internal gusto, I guess, to to come out of it. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
you see it in a beautifully illustrated form of animation as well as color and dialogue. And the voice actors are well known. They've done Dragon Ball Z and other things, and
Yeah.
it's just really, they just do a really good job with the show, in my opinion.
I got a question for you. It's probably my
Go for
last
it.
question to bring this into the home stretch.
Sure.
Now, I'm not going to ask anything serious, but do you find so Japanese anime is
Yes.
from Japan, right? Do you find
That's-
it? Do you
that's my
find
guess.
it hilarious that all of All Might's power moves are United States? Like he goes
Well, even his
California
colors, minus the-
smash, and he goes Alabama. I don't
yeah.
know. He does all the states. Do you find that funny, or do you think Japan is making fun of us, or because I know
No,
All Might's
well-
character was born in Japan and he made his way to the states to make a difference, or he came over
Right.
the states to
Right.
to go to college and made a difference, and he came back to the Japan, I believe. Right, we're in Japan, right?
I thought it was always Japan, yes.
Yeah, but
you're
he
right,
left
he
this-
did travel. I think it's interesting. I don't think that a whole culture. And if they're making fun of us, so be it. But I don't think that's the case. I think if anything, it's kind of like a little homage to our superheroes.
I think
You know
it's
what I
funny.
mean?
In the movie,
Um,
if you watch the movie, they do the whole smash, and I'm like, it was California, I think. Oh no, it was United States.
Yeah.
Smash, and I'm
But
like,
but you know what I
come
mean
on.
though. Like,
But they say it
you gotta
just
think-
right. You get chills when they do it. You're like, ooh.
Of course. Well, you got to think too. Japan, just like I wouldn't say we were raised, but we as we crave their artwork and their media and like their styles, like we're not samurais, but we watch a whole bunch of shit with samurais in it all the time.
Oh yeah. Last Summer
you know what
is
I mean?
a great
It's-
movie.
You know what I'm saying? So like we are interested in their culture just like they would be interested in our Americanized version of the culture. They're still watching Captain America movies. They're still watching basketball. Like it's not like
Hey, they got gold in baseball in the Olympics this year.
that's right. Yeah, and then baseball is a perfect example. That's definitely one of those.
That's
things
their
that they
sport,
accepted
man. In my opinion, that's their
You're so
sport.
ridiculous.
They love that sport more than we do.
No, that disagree
Hands
with that.
down.
But what I'm saying
I
is
agree.
they definitely have embraced an American pastime, right? So
Yes.
we embrace their stuff. They embrace our stuff. So I don't think it's a knock to us. The one final thing I will say is when you first brought this show to me, I have to say, like always, I was the typical asshole, right? And
You
judging a
didn't
book
wanna
by its
watch
cover.
it, yeah.
And I originally hated the character designs.
Me too.
And some of the stuff that was going on, like there's certain aspects of Japan animation that is just graphic and extreme, and I understand that's the culture to get the emotion and feeling and it comes across. It definitely comes across, especially when it comes to their villains. But I just find it as you finish watching it, or as you force yourself to accept these obscure, ridiculous character designs. It's funny how over time you accept it, and not only that, but you understand it more, and that you realize, wow, it's actually a major compliment to the character they created. It's not just a weird design for the sake of
I
being design.
know.
There's more to it than that, and it's funny how I go from despising something just by looking at it to understanding, relating to it, and then all of a sudden being like, wow, that's perfect. That totally makes sense. Have you ever come across that when you watch it? Like, especially with
Absolutely.
My Hero Academia?
Oh, no, my first introduction to My Hero Academia, I didn't know what it was at Comic-Con one year. I think it was one of the years you went. It was one of the years it was released.
Gotcha.
And I'm like, what is this new crap? I think it was Funimation, like always. Funimation is the biggest dubber out here now, and anime distributor in America, I think one of at least. And it was just annoying to see it. And it was almost the same time when they also showed off Super Saiyan God Goku. And I remember seeing Goku with the red hair. I'm like, what are we just implying that he has red hair like he did? Like, because Vegeta had...
Right,
They
no, I know
have,
what you mean.
They have
Yeah.
that tint, right? So I'm like, what? That's why Gogeta and Dragon Ball GT has red hair. So I'm like, what are we just implying? I didn't know what it was. I didn't know Dragon Ball Z was coming back with revenge. And I didn't know My Hero. I was seeing the masks, like those paper masks that were given out for free. I'm like, trying to
Right.
advertise it. I'm like, to me, it looked like... old school anime trying to be new school. It looked like Astro Boy
Right.
to me, more or less, just
Yeah.
refreshed.
Yeah, a
And
little
I'm
bit.
like, I'm not into it. So when my buddy told me to watch it, I'm like, no. But since I was out of stuff to watch and it was on Hulu, I said, screw it. So I watched it, and it took the first episode completely. Like I was still like skeptical about it. Then I'm like, oh, then you have to watch another. Then you have to watch another. Then you have to watch another. I'm like,
Right, right.
crap, I'm going down this hole. I'm like, well, I guess I'm into it now.
Yeah. No, they did a really good job. I thought it was great. So, on that note, My Hero Academia. It's a pretty good show.
Check it out.
Check it out. Thank you for listening to Entertainment Banter. My name is Matt.
And my name is Joel. And I'm done. And here we go on to the next one.